Virgo. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the birthday reading for the month of September for your birthday season. So you open the reading with the Six of Wands, which is basically victory. You know, this is Jupiter in Libra, or Leo, I'm sorry. This is sort of expansions of yourself, right? Also understanding and realizing what you're capable of and what your strengths are as well. You know, this is kind of like bringing more energy into your daily responsibilities, right? Staying motivated and also definitely staying encouraged with, you know, what it is that you bring to the table. This is kind of like people, you know, valuing you and what you, you know, what kind of help you offer, you know, how you're being of service or how you're being of help to a situation or a circumstance that involves more than one person, more than two people. This is kind of like a group of people, right? You know, the sixes are talking about, you know, your habitual nature and the things that you do out of habit, the things that you do out of necessity. You know, it's kind of like, you know, what is your rhythm? What is your balance? Like, what brings balance to your daily life? You know, it's kind of like the consistencies that actually help bring balance to your daily life. So if you can stay consistent within your actions, then you understand that people will actually start to understand who you are, and then they will start to appreciate you in a different way, in a better way. You know, it's almost kind of like a self-enhancement that's brought to you by, you know, what other people think of you, you know, what other people think about what it is that you do or how you act, right? How you respond to things. This is a card of a fixed nature, so it's talking about things that already, you know, qualities that you already held inside of you, or qualities that, you know, were already honed, you know. This is also honing skills too. So Leo is talking about creativity, and the sixth house is also talking about skill, but then, you know, Leo is talking about action. So this could be like the growth of responsibility through out of trust, or people realizing that they can, you know, hold you accountable within giving you more responsibility. The challenge within having that responsibility is kind of like, you know, this is the Nine of Wands, and this is the moon in Sagittarius. So this talks about like evolutions and growth, right? And it also talks about cycles, beginnings, middles, and endings. But, you know, because of the cycles that you've gone through and because of the experiences that you've had with others, your philosophy has changed. So the philosophy that you have now may actually be going against you or hindering you because you are trying to work against something. It's almost like you're even trying to prove something, right, by blocking yourself out or by detaching from something. You know, this is a 9, so it's related to the Hermit, which is talking about going within and having these epiphanies, right, bringing light to a situation that otherwise was kind of like in the dark. So you're no longer in the dark about something, and you know how you are going to need to act upon that, you know, in terms of like not being in the dark on something. It really is talking about distractions as well. So you might be trying to distract yourself from your emotions by the way that you're acting, or by acting in a specific way. You might even be putting up a front so that you can hide behind, you know, so you can hide your emotions behind the actions, right, that you're doing. You're like, if I kind of like just show people that I'm very energetic or that I'm very serious about what it is that I'm doing, then they will see that, you know, I'm being emotionally affected, or I might be weakened a little bit by, you know, something, right, by my efforts, right? Because sometimes when you put too much effort into something, or when you overshoot, then that is kind of like, you know, not as beneficial, right? It's almost like missing the point. So you could be like pushing people away, or you might be backing off from some situation just to prove a point, and it's saying that it actually might hurt or hinder you, or it might hurt or hinder those people, or it could be you or someone else doing this. In your past position, you have the Strength card, which is talking about highs and lows in terms of like what you're able to do and who you think you are. This is also talking about not using the same level of energy or effort to do one thing that you are using to do another. So this is saying that there's going to have to be some kind of element of, you know, not uniformity, but kind of like just changing things up. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you can still be who you are, but do things differently. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you are not staying true to who you are. You know what I mean? And sometimes just to prove yourself, you might even use way more strength than you actually need to. So then it's kind of like you're force feeding people something that you really only need to let them sample to understand what it is that you are trying to do or who you are. Okay, and you might be trying to force something out of a need to prove something to yourself, because you might be feeling some kind of weakness in terms of like what it is that you might be understanding about yourself and about, you know, how you're being called to transform in some kind of way. The eights do have to do with strength, and they also do have to do with hidden things. They have to do with transformation and, you know, some level of discomfort in terms of like how you deal with yourself. Okay, and in the sun position, you have the death card. So the sun is bringing some focus to something that has ended, or something that needs to be repaired, or it's bringing some attention to something that needs to be understood in a real way so that you can move forward from it. It's a platform. You know what I mean? Whatever this ending is, it's going to create a platform for you to begin something new. You know what I mean? Just don't be too emotionally weakened or be too emotionally controlled by this experience, because this experience is meant to teach you something. It's meant to show you a part of yourself that you may have been running away from, or some part of yourself that you weren't meaning, that you didn't want to acknowledge. You know, this is some aspect of your reality that has to do with a death, or has to do with something ending that you didn't want to acknowledge in your past. You know what I mean? And it just could be you making yourself believe that you are not who you think you are. You know what I mean? Also, let's look at the moon position. The moon position has the Six of Swords, which is talking about moving on to a better place of understanding, right? This is kind of like allowing yourself to reasonably conclude where you need to go from here. How is your daily life going to change? This is a fixed card. You know, it's Aquarius, but it's with a mutable planet, right? And Aquarius is actually one of the most, it's the fixed signs that has more immutability with it, right? Because of that Mars exaltation, or that Mercury exaltation, I'm sorry. You know, the sixes are talking about how you understand that you're going to need to make some changes, right, in order to feel like, you know, you're getting somewhere, or you're gaining ground, or you're covering enough mileage, or you're covering enough area. This could be talking about moving on from something that you probably brought some kind of like trust to, because the swords are talking about trust, it's talking about truth, it's talking about communication as well. So there could have been something that was kind of like giving you the message on a daily that you weren't actually listening to, but now because of this emotional evolution, you're starting to respond to that call. Okay, so you're moving on in terms of something in your mind. You might be changing your perspective, or you might be changing your, you know, your idea of what you thought was going to be, you know, because so you could be moving on from an idea, right, that might have been conflicting you, and now you kind of like have the solution, because the sixth house does come up with solutions, right, in terms of Virgo. That's you, you're in the sixth house. Okay, so let's now look at your anxieties. You have anxieties in terms of like coming together with something, or you know, revealing something to yourself. There's kind of like your anxieties are with how you're sensitive, how you might be sensitized to something, or you might be desensitizing yourself to something that you may have been anxious about, or something that you may have had anxieties in terms of like dealing with and processing. You know, the twos have to do with earned income and money, and then it also has to do with, you know, psychic abilities and things being revealed to you. This is Venus in Cancer, so this is talking about pleasure in terms of like what you nurture, right? Whatever you nurture, you want that to bring you pleasure, right? You don't want to be nurturing something that you feel like is not going to be affording you the experience of enjoyment. Okay, in your Mars position, you have Mars in Leo, right? So this is a point where this is a place where this card actually likes to be. This card is talking about, you know, how your experience might be affecting you, and how you might be triggered by the experience, you know what I mean, and how you might be allowing others to trigger you within that experience, right? You might be facing some obstacles, there are some hurdles that you might need to jump, and then ultimately there's some kind of like balance that you're going to have to achieve here through action. You know what I mean? This is kind of like dealing with a lot with a little bit, you know. The sevens are related to the Chariot, so this is saying that, you know, within these struggles and within these challenges, you're going to see your way out, and you're going to be able to move forward, right, victoriously. So you're just kind of like weighing things out and seeing where you can go from here once you determine what is really happening.